Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with another video. This is a recent read, 89, mid-December wrap-up of the books that I've read in the first half of the month of December. Now, I have 3 books to talk to you about. Before I get into that, though, I'm still linking in the description ways you can learn more about the history of what's been going on in Palestine. It did not start on October 7th. If you were unaware, it has been going on for over 75 years. And you can also get details from the people currently trying to survive there as they are moved from one section to another in Gaza, and then finding out that those areas they've been told to evacuate to are then bombed. There are links in the description for ways you can help, whether it's boycotting, following the BDS movement recommendations that have been going on for much longer than the past few months, and also ways you can join in sending humanitarian aid, food, water, eSIM, so they can have internet access. The lights, electricity, and internet has been turned off for a couple of days now. There are also links in the description for finding out what has been going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Congolese, the mines there, the people who are being enslaved, many of them children, to work on mining by hand minerals that go into the production of our electronics. Ways you can send humanitarian aid, food, water, clothing, health support, and also ways you can not support the companies that run these mines or benefit from these mines using refurbished electronics and not buying the brand new iPhone or Galaxy or Google Pixel or pretty much any of these brands. The same with laptops and televisions and things like that. Please check out the links in the description down below. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about the 3 books. The first book I finished was Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the 3rd trilogy in her overarching Realm of the Elderling series. So I'm past the halfway point. I didn't know I would get this far. I'm happy. I didn't mention this in my last video, but I have been reading these series with some fellow booktubers, or just Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany, Christy, and Jade from Bedtime Bookworm, and doing live shows for each. I will put the live show link for Fool's Fate here. Buckle in, because we're excited. We don't all agree on everything that we enjoy, but the conversations are wonderful. So I'm very grateful. Do check out all of their content. That being said, yeah, so this is the end. Wow. It came up during the course of our conversation that this was Robin Hobb's original plan, was to end the Realm of the Elderling series here, or at least the parts, the trilogies that were about Fitz and the Fool, I believe. And it shows, because this feels, especially the end, the last like 300, 400 pages, half the book, was, it felt like epilogue after epilogue after epilogue. We have to wrap up this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this, so that Fitz can have a happily ever after, or happy for now, because we know there are 2 more trilogies after this. The second, or no, after this is a what is it, a quadruple, 4 book series back with the live ship traders called the Rainwald Chronicles. But after that is another Fitz and the Fool trilogy, which I don't remember the name of, I'll be honest with you. So, happy for now. I'm not mad about how extended the ending was. I like that. Like, things are wrapped up. So I can feel closure with a lot of their situations. There were, I realized over the course of the conversation, a lot of, I feel, conveniences, not just in the wrapping up of the series in this book, but also with some other stuff that were happening with the action and whatnot. There was a character, a very beloved character, that showed up seemingly out of the blue, and while it's not beyond his character as it was has been written for us in all of these books for him to show up, it was well, how did you get there? Like, what? How did you have the means to do this and then show up right on time in that manner? But since he's beloved, and I like that. Also, there was a character death. For this trilogy, probably he wouldn't be considered a main character death, but very influential in the first trilogy, and he was referred to a lot in this one. So, fair warning, I won't say anything else to spoil. I had so many feelings. So many feelings. I was crying through half the book, that 400-page ending or whatever. There was good crying. There was sad crying. There was cathartic crying. There was, just I'm rooting for you crying. And, there were just some beautiful, poignant moments that I was just like, I have to have some tears for. A lot of the mystery is cleared up with this. I will say I was a little bit disappointed by how we dealt with the bad guy, or the antagonist, the villain of the piece. But I think it was appropriate as a fan. Like, yeah, that's how they should go out, because that's what they deserve. Nothing. All that being said, like, I wasn't expecting anything that happened in this book the way it did. Special shout out, my favorite character in this was Thick, because your man was like, I don't like the ocean. I don't like being on the ship in the water, and he kept it real throughout. And you can't help but not like Thick, especially after this book. Like, and I understand how some of the not fishermen, sailors, there we go, really took to him after a while. Like, there's something about him, and it's not just the magic. Okay? There were some reveals about the skill, and I was like, well then. Just, I don't know what to say. Like, all of Fitz's relationships wrapped up very tightly in a bow, except for with the Fool. But even so, it went mostly okay. I think that if I didn't know that there is going to be another trilogy with the Fool, I would be upset, because the way Robin Hobb focused on their relationship with each other, it leads you down a road of thoughts, and then, to have absolutely nothing come of it is like, whereas the relationship Fitz found himself in at the end of this is satisfying to an extent, but we didn't spend nearly as much time and detail with them. Like, Robin Hobb did not write about the details of their feelings for each other nearly as much. And so it's like you're not, as a reader, as invested in them, even though that's the romantic relationship. That being said, I don't begrudge it. Fitz needs some happiness and maturity. And so, yes. I gave this 5 stars because I give books to, if you got me in my emotions that strongly, like that's it. Like, I love the characters. I feel for their every situation. I don't necessarily have to cry, but like I gotta feel it. I gotta feel it. And if I feel it strongly, that's amazing. That's the pinnacle. And I will be remembering those feelings even if I don't remember the details of the plot for the rest of my life. And that deserves 5 stars in my opinion. I'm glad that I am able to say this now, because in the past I wasn't aware of what really made it what made a book a 5 stars for me. And then I knew, but I couldn't articulate, so I'm happy. The next book I finished was a manga, Death Note, Volume 4 of the Black editions. And so these editions contain 2 regular size manga volumes in them. And wow, I think I think I only have 2 more Black editions after this. I can't believe it. Like, that's crazy. This contains volumes 7 and 8. This is a story about Light Yagami, who is a very intelligent high school student and the son of I think, captain in the Japanese police department. It's a contemporary, sort of thriller-ish series. And Light one day comes across a Death Note, which is a notebook that is owned by Shinigami, which are like these gods or deities in Japanese culture. And when a human touches a Death Note, they can see a Shinigami, but they can also use it. And a Death Note is, you write someone's name in the notebook, they will die within a certain period of time by a heart attack. If not, if you put more details, like how you want them to die, then they will. And so Light sees this as a chance to create change in the world and get rid of criminals that the justice system seems to be unable to, for whatever reasons. As time goes on, the Japanese government and police start to notice these deaths and investigate them. They bring in a specialist, L, who is also intelligent and relatively young, who starts to figure out from seemingly random clues what is going on, or who is creating these deaths. So Light has to come up with a persona and a pseudonym to hide who he really is, while keeping an ear out on the investigation through his dad. So this is a very text-heavy manga. It's not, I mean, it's popular, but it's not what's stereotypically popular, at least here in the US, as far as manga goes. This is mostly, I just want to say, this is all mental. It's very cerebral. There's a lot of thoughts, like Light's thoughts, Elle's thoughts, and how they come to conclusions, how they make decisions, and how they try to outmaneuver one another. And conversations, between them and whoever they're dealing with. in their investigations or making their plans and things like that. So I kind of have to be in the mood for this, because sometimes I'm just like, this is too much just thinking, right? And sometimes it feels like, well, how are they going to get out of the corner they painted themselves into, and then suddenly things change? So this has happened again. We kind of have the reveal of one of Light's plans that got started in the previous volume, and then everything changes. Boom, bang, bing. Everything's flipped upside down. We get some new characters introduced, several new characters actually, and we go to the United States. I'm just like, what? The way it was handled, I'm like, okay. There's a bit of U.S. stereotypes happening here. But that being said, like, there are some characters that I've heard about, but didn't know, how they worked. They show up here, and I'm like, oh, that's who that is. So, if you have read Death Note, or I guess watched it, I'll tell you it's Nier and Mello. So Nier and Mello have shown up. So if you know, you know. If you don't know, well, read the series. And I'm a little bit thrown off. I'm a little bit disappointed because of what preceded their coming. And that seemed like sort of a convenient out from that situation to make things complex again. I know that I've heard a lot of fans kind of got disillusioned or disappointed with the ending of the series, and I'm wondering if it's because of this change. But I got 2 more black volumes to go. I did give, what did I rate this? I still gave it a decent rating, 4 stars, and I do like what's happening with Nier and Mello, that plot line, and how, because, yeah, if it wasn't for that, I probably would have been upset. Like, if I was reading this as 7, I would have probably not picked up 8 for a while. FYI. So, my review on Storygraph as well, this took a turn. The last book I want to talk about in this video is one of my anticipated releases of this year, even though I didn't know about it till halfway through the year, or before I read the previous one. It's Slay by Laura K. Hamilton, the 30th book in the Anita Blake series, one of my all-time favorites series, point blank, period. This year is also, I didn't realize it at the time, 30th anniversary of this series. This series was started with Burnt Offerings 30 years ago. Hey guys, this is Editing Lashette. It's actually, the first book is called Guilty Pleasures, not Burnt Offering. And this is the 30th book. So now understanding why this book exists and wasn't just the finish attached to the previous book. Because if you saw my review about Slumber, you would have heard me ranting. I was like, nothing is wrapped up here. We have all of these plot points and relationship things started, but nothing is concluded. I didn't know there was going to be another book. And I found that out once I finished it and I looked it up. And then I was like, but why didn't she combine them? Because she's definitely written thicker books than this before. Maybe it's because people complained back then, and so that's what I assumed. They wanted to essentially make this a whole 30th thing, right? 30 books in 30 years. Why wait till next year? And why not have it match up this year? And I'll allow it. Like, I have a choice. I'll allow it. So I gave this 4.5 stars. Definitely higher than the previous one. because shit wrapped up. I will say this. I forgot who the ultimate bad guy was. I didn't remember, and that's a first for me with this series, because it was split so awkwardly. And then the way, like, I still don't remember exactly what this dude did in the previous book, because he didn't do much. Anyway, more happens here. Relationship stuff is wrapped up. Grandma's going to jail. I'm just gonna leave that there with no context. This was the perfect 30th book, because I don't even know how to put this. I'm getting a little teary-eyed. We've been following Anita for 30. Well, not me. I have not been there from the very first book, but I think book 5 or 6 is when I jumped in the series. But anyway, I've read the whole thing several times. We've been following Anita on her growth as a person for 30 years. Now, 30 years time has not passed in the course of this series. Maybe 10. But Anita's a different person. In the first book, she just was not the woman that she is now. And the fact that she's realizing it, like, she's been working on it for, like, the past 10 or so books. Like, her belief in herself and her abilities as a necromancer, essentially, like, raising the dead, and her abilities as a vampire slayer, as someone who the government looks to as one of the top, you know, field agents, and she's out of the top 5 the only woman. She might be the only woman in the top 10. I can't remember, but like, and she's still alive with all of these violent, you know, not pastimes, but abilities and strengths. And then on top of that, her belief in herself as a woman, as a Hispanic woman, as a Catholic or a former Catholic or Christian, or a former Catholic and current Christian in, you know, this modern world where vampires and were-animals and fae and spirits and different types of cultural magics exist. Like, this is modern day United States, but people are aware of all of these beings, and they have rights. There are laws for and against them, and that's one of the things I find absolutely fascinating about this series. But also, we follow Anita as, you know, she's has more self-confidence. She's more than just raising the dead and killing the dead. And, you know, she used to be a pick-me, right? Or not a pick-me. I'm not like other girls. And, you know, her coming to realize, like, why she had this thought, why she thought negatively about other women and some of their choices, and the influences that her family has had on her has shown, you know, as a child, showed up in her realizations and going to therapy, and then, you know, dealing with her, you know, thoughts about sex. And in the beginning of the series, this woman didn't have sex, right? You know, she was very, like, not pure or whatever, but like, sex before marriage is not okay, but also like, who's gonna want me because I'm ugly kind of thing, because these are things that she internalized as a kid. So what else can you do but be alone and not accept comfort, let alone love? And now, like, she has many loves, and she's polyamorous, and respectful of other people's beliefs and sexual identities. And you know, she has female friends, she has female lovers, and not just sexually, but like, she loves women as well, and like, respecting the different types of women that are out there. And, you know, her family finally shows up on page here, and they have these mixed beliefs and reactions to the idea of her getting married to a vampire or being in a polyamorous relationship, um, and raising the dead still, and uh, killing the dead still, uh, and we go through all of that, and it's just like, wow, wow. Anita has come a long way, and I feel like she's a friend, and I'm so proud that she's gotten to this point. I feel bad that these confrontations had to happen. Um, just crazy. I will say, as far as the paranormal bad guy issue goes, that kind of took me for a loop. We went all over the place. Someone comes back from the dead. No spoilers, but if you've read this, and it's just like, what the fuck? There's just, oh, there's someone who dies, fucking finally. Thank God. I will also say Richard has also continued to grow as a person, as has Asher, apparently, though we'll probably get more details about that later. I was just very happy with how this went in general. I think the bad guy thing, like I said, was a little convoluted with how many people were involved in that. But for the most part, it was great. I gave this, what I said, 4.5 stars, I think, and I don't think I'm going to cut any of this out. So this video, me gushing about this series for 10 minutes, is what it is. If I did a reread, I would be bawling. Like, there's so many callbacks to the first book and her life in the first couple of books versus today. And like, this is what you wish for all your friends. This is what you hope, that personal growth is. You don't realize, and maybe the author didn't originally plan for that to happen, but like, that has been a big theme for this entire series, and you don't really get this type or depth of character growth and personal growth in a lot of series. Like, either they're shorter and then it goes by quicker, and so, okay, great, they're first, but like, you don't feel, at least for me, I don't feel as invested as I have with this. Part of it is probably because it's an urban fantasy series, so it's contemporary, modern day setting, modern day issues and whatnot, but with a little bit of a fantastical twist, more on the paranormal end. And so it's easier to identify with the character or understand the character, or even if you don't root for a character. So kudos to Laura Clay Hamilton and to Anita Blake, because, girl, you've come so far, and I'm proud of you, a imaginary character. Okay, so those are all the books I'm going to talk about today. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. I have, in January, I'm starting a read-along. It's running from January to September. It is the Remix Classics read-along. The first book we will definitely be reading is Clash of Steel by C.B. Lee. This is a remix of the classic Treasure Island. If you want to join us, I'll put a link in the description to my announcement video. Maybe I'll remember it up here. That is coming But besides that, this is the last recent reads or bookish video of 2023. In 2024, I will have my December wrap up with the stats for the month, and then my favorites, least favorites, most disappointing, and most surprising books of 2023. So look forward to those. Guys, if you only on my channel for the bookish content, happy holidays, happy new year. I wish you well in 2024, health and happiness. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.